We're back with Elias. You remember Elias has just helped us with our analogy about building plans and goals. Elias has got another string to his bow. He's developed the Trios franchise, and Elias has kindly agreed to share with us how important goals was in the process of building an international franchise business. Elias, 25, maybe 30 years ago,
yes.
I used to wander down Puckle Street and have a coffee in a cafe called Trios.
Mm-hmm.
That was you and your brothers?
Yes, that is. That's hence the name Trio, because there's three brothers. The goals at the moment in that cafe was to deliver what we refer to as service or customer service. And by establishing your service, you deliver a good business. And that's the primary goal of running a hospitality type of business.
Okay, so those goals you sat down with, thought about?
Yes, with the three brothers, we sat down and said, well, what's the aim? We could be any other cafe, but what's the main purpose? Was to deliver, as I said, a good customer service cafe, which translates to a viable business, and then hence we developed the Trios wraps out of that cafe Trio version in terms of the franchise segment.
Okay, so the cafe, based on the goals that you established to set it up, was a success?
Yes, it was a revamped old cafe we purchased, and we made it more trendier to the times, and it was a very successful cafe. It's probably the #1 cafe in that street at that era.
Okay, now how did that cafe develop into the Trios franchise?
And
how were goals important, and how did you set them?
Like any small business, you get sometimes discovered, and then other groups from different pockets of Melbourne were creating their own environment, and then they basically came and invited us to be in their respective environment. So the goal was there, coming from a single cafe to a potential franchise in evolution, was to basically continue the same service, which gives you the same goal in that sort of business.
So the direction remained the same, customer service.
Correct.
But the more specific goals changed in the direction which you were taking the business?
Yes, the goals will change as the type of business that you're developing, and the environment and the expansion and where you're going to locate it. But fundamentally, if you come back to it, it's really the same goal where you started from the beginning, and then if you've had 5, 10, 20 stores, your goals aren't changing. They're basically just adapting to the expansion of the type of business.
I see your mission on the wall of the office. What is that mission?
Well, it's been there for many years, and it's just it is a translation of the same comment that we created in the beginning, is to always deliver the service and the experience again and again and again. So that's what I mean by you're copying the same goal. If it's successful, you're copying it over and adapting it to a different type of business that you're involved in.
No, the franchise developed from the cafe. It's a little bit different at that stage to what it is now. Can you tell us where Trios is now and how the goals change it to adapt to get you there?
Correct. By understanding the market and the market shifting, we created the Trios concept and adapted it to the Trios wraps, which is a flatbread sandwich. We created our own breads and then created the wrap. And the wrap at that time was coming to the market, and then basically now it's caught on to the thing. So we created our version of the Trios wrap, which is a handheld sandwich, hot, cold, and that can be a worldwide product. So you can, I guess, add any flavour to the wrap and then just wrap it up and off you go. So it's similar to your sandwich, but in more the a universal flatbread, which is worldwide accepted.
You've taken the franchise internationally.
Yes.
And it's a difficult market internationally.
Yes.
Can you tell us about how your original goals were set and how you've been forced to adapt them to the reality of the international situation?
Yes, back in the 2005 era, that's we set up in the United Arab region, where we had an interested party who wanted to buy the concept, and we developed a relationship with these parties in order to evolve and adapt that concept to that region. At the moment, I think they have 8 or 9 stores, and they were trading, and they're just adapting their food taste, flavours to suit that nationality or that region. Similar, we had other interested party from the US in Texas, and they've basically experimented in trying to adapt that to that southern part of the USA.
And that, given the GFC in the US, hasn't worked incredibly well at this point. Can you tell me how you've adapted the goals to that situation?
As our relationship is more of a partnership arrangement, their involvement in their respective region is for them to manage and control the concept. We've supplied them basically the IP, etc., and their role was to do that. The GFC, yes, has affected worldwide a lot of people, and the adaptation of them was to either consolidate or go slow until they can develop and multiply that business further. That's our involvement with our international sort of clientele.
The purpose of this particular segment of Wealth Plan TV is to impress upon the viewer the importance of creating their own goals,
Yes.
and putting them in writing,
Yes.
and reviewing them,
Yes.
and adjusting them,
Yes.
and accepting that life changes.
Yes.
And whilst the key goal, as you've already pointed out, of providing customer service and creating a viable business still is maintained, it changes around the edges. Could you tell us how important setting and maintaining and adjusting goals has been to the success of Trios?
Yes, you are correct. I mean, when you start off, you need to establish a set of goals. You need to write them down or put them in your mind and then keep revisiting them. But I think the fundament, if you write them down, store them and revisit them, then physically you are reviewing them and you're adapting to the current climate of that era and then saying, well, what is the goal in this year versus next year? So it is important to probably put it on paper and then always use it as a checklist to go back and revisit that. So it's important to say, I started with a goal, well, next year, is that goal still the same, or how much do I have to adapt to make sure that I can continue with that goal?
Okay, thank you very much, Elias.
No worries, welcome.
We've heard from the mover and shaker of an incredibly successful international business, how he moved from a cafe in Puckle Street to being successful in the international scene. It wasn't accidental, it happened because Elias wanted it to happen. If you want it to happen for you, you have to take a similar approach.